What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. For any of you that are new here, my name is Pedro. I'm a former Amazon software engineering intern and soon to be full-time Amazon software engineer. And on this channel, I talk about my experience working at Amazon, as well as topics that help you live healthier, happier, and more productive lives. So today I thought it'd be a really cool idea to take a look at my desk setup, the things that I have on my desk that help me be a more productive or unproductive student. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at what my desk usually looks like. So as you can see, my desk is pretty bare bones. I have kind of the essential items. I don't really like having too many things just because I live in a very small room and there's not a lot of space to store stuff. So I try to keep it to the mere essentials on my desk when it comes to the setup. Now the first thing that I wanted to talk about from my desk setup is actually my favorite thing, which is my Keychron K2 mechanical keyboard. And I gotta say, this is probably the best thing that I've ever bought. I've never owned a mechanical keyboard and actually thought they were pretty annoying for quite a while. But I took the chance since I kept seeing such great reviews about this Keychron K2, and I've gotta say that it has not disappointed me. I love the typing experience. I love the amount of depth that there is when you click on the keys. And initially I bought this under the excuse that it was going to make me want to type more and essentially be more productive. And so far it has been working. Basically any chance that I get to do some coding assignment or to write a script for YouTube, I love typing on this thing and it makes the experience a lot more fun. So I've got to say that this has been a really good investment for me. It's made typing so much better and it's made my desk setup a lot better and ergonomic for me since I don't actually have to kind of reach for the butterfly keys on my MacBook Pro. It's been really good. It's made me love my working at my desk a lot more and it's definitely been a great addition to my desk setup. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is an essential item, especially if you live in a house with 7 other people, just like me, and it is these noise-canceling headphones by Sony. I believe they're the Sony XHM3. I'll probably put a link in the description to make sure that I'm saying the right ones. But yes, noise-canceling headphones. Those are lifesavers for me. I actually got them when I first started my Amazon internship because I knew that working full-time in this house was going to be super difficult because it's never very quiet. Even just to get an opportunity to make a YouTube video like this takes a lot of planning in advance just to get this quiet time. So noise-canceling headphones were a big plus for me when it came to working from home. And they've been really good to me. I usually have trouble with headphones that go over your ears because I usually wear glasses, especially when I'm typing on my computer and spend a lot of time in front of the computer. And usually headphones that go over the ear push really hard against my head, especially against the frame, and it kind of hurts after a while. But the Sony XHM3s have been super comfortable, and I can wear them for hours just listening to my favorite music, like The Strokes and Joy Division, if any of you guys are into that. And I can just wear them for hours and just get into the zone of being productive and getting my work done. They've been a great addition, and I'm really happy that I added those to my desk setup, and they've definitely helped me be a lot more productive and just kind of cancel out all the background noise that is usually around my house when everyone's home. All right, so the next item is actually going to be my iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil. I forget which exact copy of the iPad Pro I have. I know it's 11 inches, but I forget the exact specs. But the iPad Pro has been super helpful for me, especially because I used to go through a lot of notebooks. And for one, like I said, I live in a very small space, so storage is very difficult. And having a lot of notebooks meant that I had to store those away afterwards and put them essentially into boxes and then hide them in the closet or out in my backyard. But with the iPad Pro and using Notability, which is one of my favorite apps, thank you to Ali Abdal, who actually made a video a couple years ago, I think, about Notability. It inspired me to get that for my iPad and try that out. Notability has made it so easy for me to do notes for my classes and even for my internship and just keep them on a single app without a lot of clutter, spatial clutter around my desk or in my room. Another beautiful thing about the iPad Pro is the fact that I can actually have a little split screen feature. And I like using Notion to organize my notes, especially for classes and just other stuff that I'm working on, such as scripts for YouTube and like habits and other stuff that I'd like to track using Notion. And having this split screen view, I can actually reference the notes for my class and have Notability open at the same time and actually be able to take notes on the lecture notes that I was given by my professor, or even look at the recorded lecture and take notes all at the same time on my iPad. It makes it super easy, takes away a lot of the clutter of having to take handwritten notes, but you still get the same effect of handwritten notes from using the Apple Pencil. And so it's made my life a lot easier in terms of storage. It's made it a lot easier to organize my lecture stuff, which is something that I've always struggled a lot with. But the iPad Pro has made that so much easier for me, and has made it actually fun to take notes and organize my school stuff, which used to be a big hassle and just not a lot of fun because it felt so overwhelming because everything was everywhere. So yeah, I would recommend the iPad Pro if you're looking to get something to kind of go paperless and to keep your stuff organized on a single device. All right, so the next item that we're going to talk about is actually the main machine that I use, which is my MacBook Pro, the 2017 edition. And this is where I do most of my work. When it comes to schoolwork, if I'm coding up a coding assignment, redundant, but when I'm coding, I do all my coding on my MacBook, whether that be on Visual Studio Code or through the terminal on like Vim. If my professor wants to make us suffer, we use Vim, or through IntelliJ, PyCharm. I also do most of my browsing on my MacBook, so that I kind of have this separation between like my iPad, which is mainly supposed to be productive, taking notes. I try not to have any like social media or like media apps on there, such as YouTube or Spotify. I do most of my like listening to music through my MacBook Pro, watching YouTube videos and stuff on my MacBook Pro, just so that I can keep those other things as separate productive entities that don't have the same flexibility, I guess, of use as my main machine. I also do all my editing for my YouTube videos on my MacBook Pro using Premiere Pro. And I also organize my Notion primarily on my MacBook Pro. While I do have Notion on my iPad, I mainly use Notion on my iPad as a reference to look at any of the stuff that I've edited on my MacBook Pro. Just using a computer instead of the iPad to organize Notion is a lot easier. And I just love using Notion so much on my MacBook, especially the fact that it can sync up with my iPad Pro. I just can constantly be changing stuff in my MacBook Pro version of Notion, and I can see those changes instantly on my iPad Pro. And I can, if I need to move from my main desk and go to like the living room or go outside because it's getting a little too noisy inside of the house, I can just take my iPad outside and work from there. If I need to just take notes or look at reference things that I've edited on my MacBook Pro. So the MacBook Pro has been super helpful. I also love the fact that it's a Unix-based operating system. So when it comes to working on school assignments, especially for CS, where you have to do a lot of SSHing into like university servers in order to do your homework and stuff, the MacBook just makes that so much easier. I don't have to go through external applications that I have to download onto my machine like if I had Windows. So that's made my life so much easier, and I'm eternally grateful to this MacBook Pro for making my life a lot easier going through school. All right, and the last two things are actually things that are mainstays on my desk that don't really move from it. So the first thing is actually my standing desk converter. So at the time of my Amazon internship, I didn't want to spend a lot of time just sitting, but I also didn't have like any money to spend on a very expensive standing desk. So I went with the next best thing, which was this standing desk converter. And I got it on Amazon for about $140, I think. I'll put the link in the description so you can check it out. But it essentially just sits on the top of my desk, and I can lift, and acts as a standing desk essentially, and I can just kind of lift it up using this little mechanism on the right hand side of it. And yeah, and it makes it super easy for me to switch between sitting for like an hour, maybe 30 minutes, and then if I get tired of sitting or I see myself slouching a bit, I can just stand that up and start working standing. And it's really helped me a lot in terms of not hurting myself physically, because I have a lot of trouble in terms of flexibility, and especially around my hip area, and sitting for long periods of time really tenses up my hips. So being able to stand, even like stretch while I'm working, has been a lifesaver, and I really don't know where I would be right now in terms of like flexibility and just physical health if it hadn't been for me buying that standing desk and helping me out to stand and move more while I work. And the last thing is actually going to be my Lenovo monitor, and that Lenovo monitor is actually, it's nothing special. I've had that since probably freshman year of high school, which I'm 22, and that was when I was 14. So almost 8 years old that Lenovo monitor is. And it's still going strong, and it's been a really good and helpful monitor. I'll try to find a similar monitor and put an Amazon link in the description, because I can't remember. Again, it's 8 years old, so I can't remember the exact details about it. But it's been a really trusty monitor. It's about 27 inches, so it's a good amount of screen space, and it's really just helpful, especially when working on like editing videos or even coding, where I have to have like one whole screen for like Visual Studio Code to be editing my code, and then my main screen on my MacBook is essentially all like the reference material, like the Java docs that I'm looking at, or the assignment specifications that I have to look at. It's nice to have those two things separate, and I can have a lot of screen landscape to work with. So having that external monitor has helped me so much and has made my life a lot easier in terms of keeping my screen organized and making essentially a little bit less stressful to look at multiple things at the same time. So yeah, that's basically my desk setup that I use every single day as I work through my degree as a computer science student, and that I use during my internship as an Amazon software engineer. So if you have any questions about some of the products that I use, why I don't have certain things or why I do have certain things, feel free to drop that as a comment down below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll have plenty more videos coming out this year and in the coming month, so you won't want to miss out on that. And yeah, that's it for today's video, and I will see you guys next week. See ya.